How you doing, guys? Welcome to Monsters and Mazes. I'm your host, Mr. No One. All right, so I was asked a very important question when it came to my Hex23 challenge entries, and that was, how am I doing? Right? It's actually pretty simple, and we're going to go over kind of a step-by-step. It's actually a fairly quick process. Well, fairly quick. There's a little more to it that you can do, but we're going to go over just generally how to produce a single hex, see what's in it, and then move on from there. All right, each day you do one. It's pretty easy. All right, we'll bring the camera closer, and that way you can see what all I'm doing. All right, first things first, we're going to be using the Appendix B from the first edition AD&D's Dungeon Master guide, okay? And it's not even a full page, it's pretty much just this stuff right here. Primarily this chart here and this chart here. And of course it has a little bit of information regarding the chart and what you end up landing on. All right, that being said, actually, let me get some dice. The other tools I'll be using, I typically use, is I grabbed just, this came right off the internet, the hex map, roughly correlated to like 365. It's a little bit more than that as far as how many hexes. So by the time that the year has passed, it'll all be, most of it will be filled up, and I can actually, kind of copy it, color code it, and make it maybe put in a program. Either way, there's this one you can use, which is pretty simple. You can use the the one from the Judges Guild. This is good. Ideally, you want to have ones that have the actual numbers. That way you can, whenever you're working on the D30 worksheet, you'll have, like, say, just the location, and that gives you what grid number it is. That's kind of helpful a little bit later on. Not that that's necessary. You don't technically need to be get into sub-hexes. You can just generally get into the single one. The sub-hexes allow for like wandering monsters, a little bit more detailed, things like that. Gives sort of, I guess, more detail. That's really it. But to get the initial process started, it's really just it's about 3 rolls. Okay, so you grab yourself, it doesn't matter, you can use just the paper, you can use regular paper grid, or you can use like a battle map like this, just for at least visual purposes. All right, and you select roughly the middle hex. So we'll just go, just say this one. All right, so first thing you do is on the chart, you roll a D8, right? And you notice that there are 8 entries here, and you just from the plains to the marsh, just 1 through 8. All right, so we roll that 8, and we have 8. Okay, well, look at that. Now, what this is it's supposed to represent the theoretical, like, hex that your party had just been in. All right, or at least that they had already been explored. You don't actually have to do it. In other words, you don't have to put marsh. You can just put, this is just the table that you start at, okay? All right, now, then you roll a D20. And so you've got 12, so you come down, and 9 through 15. You go all the way across, and it says 9 through 15, or sorry, 9 through 15 is marsh. So it kind of balances out. All right. If it has a dash, that just means that you can't actually be in that at all. Now, all right, so we have marsh. All right, so marsh. There you go. Marsha. Okay, that's it. That pretty much tells you, and you can, now what I did was, I grabbed this graphic. These are just to tell you what the different hexes should look like, okay, just for symbology's sake. All right, and you can go to a marsh, which I believe will be marsh. swamp or marsh, and that looks like that right there. So it looks sort of like grass. Let me grab a marker. It's green. We said, what is it? We'll say this one right here. I'm going to do it towards you guys. That way you can at least see it. And it's just simply, that's it. All right. Now what we do is we check for inhabitants, whether or not it has any inhabitants or it does. So that's going to be right here, habitation. And you check, rolling the D100, and it's 35. Now you go down the list, 2 percentages, and whoa, is that right? No, oh, wrong one. All right, 17 through 100 is basically uninhabited. So that means that that means there's no cities, no ruins, no anything. That just means it's land. Now from here, you can stop. That's it. You would be done. All right. You can note that it's marshland. I'm utilizing 8 mile squares. Of course, you can do it 6. You could do it 5. Doesn't really matter. So it means that to fill this out, we're going to go to, and I'm not sure if this will show up, but the Welsh Piper. Yeah, wrong way. All right. You go to the Hex-based campaign design part 1, and I'm utilizing simply just the table. That's all I want is to determine like what's the primary, secondary, and tertiary features plus possible wildcards. For Marsh, this is going to be, we'll treat it as the swamp because that's not much different. Yeah, because when you go under the, marsh, you look at it would be a fen, slough, I don't know, swamp, bog. This is just basically, this tells you right here what kind. So you go to marsh, and it has like little subheadings, like little things that gives descriptions. You can call it a bog, you can call it a swamp, you can call it anything you want. So what means that we'll be going under the swamp. All right, so obviously the primary is going to be swamp, and I will put that, we'll put, it's a marsh. So, and that covers just swamp and bogs and all that kind of stuff. That's the primary. All right, so we're gonna draw that right in here. All right. You can also like put a little line if you wanted to indicate that, say it was a swamp. That works. If I remember correctly. Or a bog. Bog was actually with a line. So we'll just, for right now, we'll say it's a bog. Why not? That sounds good to me. All right. Now, what do? From here, I'm going to do some, since these are the 8 mile hex, these are gonna end up being 2 miles. So 8 and 2, Atlas location, it depends. Like say, if you start with this one, in the middle, it'll be like 1108 roughly. Any of these 2 right here is fine, considering it's off center. Either way, allocate whatever number that is, indicate that on your, let's say 1914, why not? On the actual Atlas location, it's randomized number, why not? All right, climate, we're gonna be in temperate climate for now. You can actually randomly generate what kind of climate it is. Dominant terrain, we'll go ahead and say, we'll say marsh, which of course just translates to bog. Marsh, and that's just a bog. Awesome. Now, after this, we have a whole bunch of remaining squares. We're gonna actually put these randomly, all right? And what I typically do is, I'm gonna go ahead and switch this around so I can see it. I start out with, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on until over here is 12, right? So I get a D12 out, and I determine what's the next thing. Now, what I've determined is with the 8 miles, you'll have 6 primaries, 4 secondaries, and then 2 tertiary / wilds. Okay, so what you do is you're basically going to roll the d12 at least 6 times. All right, if you have repeats, roll again. Wow, how many times can I roll 2? There you go. So 1 and 2. That means that on here it'll be 1, and then 2 over here is the same. Right? So that's 1 and 2. Roll it again till we get the right 5 and 4. So we have, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 4 and 5. So that means this is going to be again same and same. All right, now after that, we'll do it again. We're going to keep going until we have 11 and we have 9. So we have 11, which is this one right here, and 9, which is right there. All right, so that covers the primaries. For the secondaries, we're going to roll a d6. All right, so we have 3. That goes 1, 2, 3. The secondary for swamp is plains. All right, so that would pretty much, for plains, generally just put grasslands. So that's just a regular. That's this one. It's the one that sticks up like a middle. It has like a middle finger to it. All right, and just for purposes. All right, one more time. So we have 3 again. Roll it again. 6. That's over here. So we have and 1, 2. Okay. 5, which of course is going to be right here. And one more. 4, which is going to be, wait, 1, 2. I think I filled it up too many times. That can happen. Bad. No, okay, I got it. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so there you go. Because I can math. All right. Cool, that leaves 2 right here. Now what I usually do is there is a wild card. The wild card for swamp, of course, is water. And I do a 50-50, okay? So we're gonna start with this one. It's either gonna be a tertiary, which is a forest, or it's going to be a wild card. And this time it's, wrong one. Either way, that's going to be the tertiary, so it's gonna be forest. All right, and you can just, however you want to do it. It's just basically 1 tree or 2 trees, doesn't really matter. The next one, again, we're gonna roll that 50-50, and it's going to be, once again, forest. So we have primarily a little copse of trees, at least a couple miles, at least 4 miles worth of trees. That's actually pretty good. And that's really it. The tree symbols. Now, there all are these 6, you have 6 kind of half terrains, and those can be distributed between what you've already gone through. You can do maybe 1 wild card, and then like the rest can be maybe 2 primaries, 1 secondary, and 1 2/3. You just pretty much as if you would, you'd have say 1, 2, 3 primaries, 2 secondaries, and then like tertiary wild card. So it's more or less half of the original. All right, so we'll just say this is the bog, a little bit more bog here, a little bit more bog here, and bog here. You can randomly determine if you want, and we have the plains there, we have plains here, and again, we'll roll that percentage. We have a little bit more, so we have wild cards, so we actually have some water right here. All right, and that's it. That covers all of this. Now from here, since we have 4, all right, we do actually have the wild card. We have the primary is marsh, we have plains, and then we have the forest, and then just a water. We know it's fresh water, so it'd be lake or pond. Chances are it would just be like a more likely a pond. Now, from there, and I'll do this as an example, we're gonna figure out the actual encounters. Now for the encounters, at least I'm using OSC for that, and that's on page 134, and then you basically figure out In this case, we have swamp. So right here, you roll under here, and that's going to be a D8 and then a D20. All right, so we'll roll it together. We have 1, so that's going to be a dragon. We have a 5, and we know it is a bronze dragon. All right, so we mark, bronze dragon. And you repeat the process. I'm doing like D6, so just 6 entries, and then you roll a 1D6, whichever one it is. So the example is that it would look something like this, okay? If you have, obviously, a 4th entry, such as, a wild card or whatever, you put the entry there. You roll a 1D6, that's your wandering monster for that area, and you can run it on wherever they are in that, if they happen to be in the mountains, sit there and roll the mountains. If they happen to be in a, the forest hex or a hill hex, you sit there and roll for that. But if you don't, if you don't utilize sub-hexes, that's fine. You just simply you roll, you create the 1d6 or 1d12, however many, or you just simply leave it as is. I would do, just have them written down that way whenever you come to that particular page. That's it. But yeah, essentially it's realistically, now from here, it is only 2 rolls, okay? Well, it's still 3 rolls, all right? You do a 1d6, okay? Starting from the top, and then you just roll, you roll a 1d6 to figure out which the next hex is. Say it's 3, so you go 1, 2, 3, that's a 3. Then you're gonna roll, since you start the marsh, you're gonna do it again. You roll a d20. You have number 7, go all the way across again, and it just says rough. All right, that's your next hex. And the one for rough is, I believe that's gonna be close to like saying Badlands, if I remember correctly. And that's just a bunch of dots. So you can grab, and then, right, dots. And then you would simply roll, is it habitated? Let's find out. Again, percentage. All right, 19, actually it is. No, it isn't. I'm sorry. You need to make at least a 17. 17 or lower. All right, so yeah, basically 1 to 16, it'll be habitated. 17 into 100, it's uninhabited. Now, say for instance, I did end up saying rolling of, say, 15 or 16. All right, then you would roll again to see if it's a village, city, shrine, tomb. There are other resources that'll give more information, but let's just say it was this theoretically a 16. All right, so we have 44, which is going to be a city, so it's a ruined city. All right, and in that you could sit there and turn around and create basically a city size, 8 mile, take an 8 mile. That's where you can utilize one of these hexes here. You can have it represent the 8 miles, and within it, kind of put your city within that. There are also ways of generating like physical representations of a city. City geomorphs work pretty well. You can also pull up on, Dungeon. You've got city generators that has all kinds of information. But here's the thing: it's ruined. So these are just, there's no people there. All it is just going to be, sort of like a dungeon crawl, just above ground, or it might actually have dungeons. From there, you can create an entire, a few pages of, here's a city, here's what the ruins look like. You can, fill it with the monsters, if it has monsters, treasures. That's in and of itself its own adventure in one hex. And then from here, if it's a ruined city, that is supposed to look like. Actually, there is a ruins. Okay. Ruins, you can basically looks a little bit like this. I think it's kind of neat that that's a thing. Where are they at? That's just looking. Okay, yeah, they have like a little tower thingy, you know, and then just some like random stuff. Just supposed to look sort of bad. But I mean, the short sign for this one is if you're using the when you're marking it on your smaller maps is just a little. That's it. A little square with one little diagonal, and then that's what you would mark on your actual smaller map. That's it. I hope that helps. I've been Mr. No One. This has been Monsters Mazes, and I'll see y'all in the next coming video, which will be the weekly run through of the dungeon. I have some explaining to do on that one, so stay tuned. See y'all later.